Story 1. The Empty Boat. Imagine yourself in a small wooden boat drifting on a river at dusk. The water is mirror still, reflecting skies that are gradually robed in hues of crimson and amber. The paddle strokes sound faint, each ripple dissolving like a thought that arises and fades. You let go of the oars and allow the boat to drift. In that moment, another boat approaches on a collision course. You gently say, "Careful there." The other boat carries on, unchanged. A pulse of irritation rises. This time you call louder, "Move aside." Still, the boat drifts on, silent and unresponsive. Frustration builds, ready to erupt in reprimand, until the moment the boats touch, and you realize the other vessel is empty. No one intended harm, no offense was given. The currents, the wind, the flow of conditions guided it to you. In that instant, your anger slips away like a pebble leaving your hand. A smile dawns light as a dragonfly skimming the water's surface. What changed? Not the event. The boats still collided. Only your perception shifted. When we cease attributing someone behind the encounter, anger loses its ground. Return to your breath. In, out. Gently ask yourself, how many empty boats did I shout at today? A colleague seemed cold, maybe they received bad news. A driver cut you off, maybe rushing someone to the hospital. A delayed reply, maybe they're battling insomnia. When we attach intent, we fill the boat with our judgments. But when we see it is empty, our inner storm calms. The Buddha's teaching rings like a morning bell. Hatred is never extinguished by hatred in this world. Only through love is hatred extinguished. Compassion is not an abstract slogan, it's a way of seeing. Seeing the conditions, wind, water, flow, we naturally release the story, "I have been wronged." And when that story falls away, so does the suffering. Now, settle back in your boat. The water regains its tranquility. The empty boat has drifted away, like a thought that came and went. Place a hand on your chest. Feel the heartbeat. Take 3 breaths. In, I feel anger rise like a wave. Out, I let it dissolve on the calm lake. In, I acknowledge the story I'm telling myself. Out, I place that story down, leaving only what truly is. When the next collision occurs, practice these 3 gentle steps. Pause. Feel your body, feet grounded, shoulders released. Breathe. 1 long breath, like drawing the sun down from the sky. See the emptiness. Try to view the situation as an empty boat, an unfolding of conditions, neither targeted at you nor opposing you. From no one to blame, you begin to see a path to love. That love, first and foremost, is for yourself. Not allowing anger to burn your inner world, not letting judgments constrict your heart. Tonight, as you lie down, if one memory of conflict lingers, place it upon a wooden boat in your mind. Gently push it out into the stream. Watch it drift, no boatman, no owner. Just the current carrying it, just the flow coming and going. Smile, relax. Let your mind, like the river, find stillness beneath the vast sky. Breathe in, stillness. Breathe out, peace. When you're ready, we'll continue through the second door where a scolding, a kind smile, and a lesson on the unaccepted gift guide us toward the power of non-reaction. But for now, remain in the stillness you've touched. Because peace was never somewhere far away. Peace is how you see in this very moment. Story 2. Crossing the Flood. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a quiet night at Jetavana Monastery, where the Buddha rests in deep stillness. Moonlight spills across the garden, and every sound has fallen silent. At that moment, a celestial being, appears, bows before the Blessed One, and asks, "Venerable One, how did you cross the raging flood of birth and death?" The Buddha gently smiles and replies simply, "By not standing still and not pushing forward, I crossed the flood." The Deva is puzzled. This teaching seems both simple and profound. He asks again, "Venerable Sir, what do you mean by not standing still and not pushing forward? How can that help one cross the flood?" The Buddha kindly explains, "When I stood still, I sank. When I pushed forward, I was swept away. It was by neither standing still nor pushing forward that I crossed over." Hearing these words, the Deva's mind is suddenly illuminated. He understands that standing still means clinging to the past, and pushing forward means chasing illusions of the future. Only by letting go of both and dwelling in the present moment can one truly transcend the whirlpools of suffering. With great joy, the Deva recites a verse. "Long have I searched to see the one who dwells in perfect peace. Not standing still, not rushing forward, he has gone beyond all worldly attachments." Then, bowing to the Buddha in gratitude, he vanishes into the light. Dear listener, this story offers us a precious teaching. Every time we cling to the past or worry about the future, we're pulled into the flood of suffering. But if, even for a moment, we return to the present, letting go of both standing still and pushing forward, a stream of peace begins to open within us. Story 3. The Charioteer and the Buddha. One fresh morning, the Buddha and his bhikkhus were walking for alms along the road leading back to Savatthi. The ground was still moist with dew, and each serene footprint of the monks left its mark on the soft earth. At that time, a charioteer passed by. Curious, he stopped his cart, looked at the Sangha with wonder, then approached the Buddha and asked, "Venerable Gautama, are you the one who renounced royal privilege, who gave up everything in search of truth? Please, give me a short and simple teaching that I can carry with me in my daily life." The Buddha looked at him kindly and asked in return, "Householder, what is your occupation?" The man replied, "Venerable Sir, I am a charioteer." The Buddha smiled. "Then you know, if you pull the reins too tightly, the horse will resist and overturn the cart. If you let the reins too loose, the horse will bolt forward and bring you harm. But if you hold the reins with just the right balance, not too tight, not too loose, the cart will move smoothly and carry you safely where you wish to go." The charioteer joined his palms, eyes lighting with sudden understanding. "Venerable One, you mean to teach that in life also we must hold the balance, not indulging in careless ease, not torturing ourselves with harsh austerity. That is the way to walk the path." The Buddha nodded. "Exactly so. The middle way is the path that leads to peace and liberation." The charioteer bowed deeply at the Buddha's feet, his heart filled with joy. From that day on, he lived a life of moderation, neither in indulgence nor in harshness, and peace spread through his daily work. Dear listener, this teaching is the path of the middle way. Between the two extremes of indulgence and self-mortification lies a peaceful road, where the mind is held in balance. Just like the charioteer who holds his reins wisely, when we live with moderation, we travel through life with stability and ease, no longer swept into extremes. Story 4. The Farmer and the Buddha. One day, while the Buddha was sitting in the shade of a tree outside the city of Rajagaha, a farmer approached. He carried a plough still covered in soil, sweat soaking his back after a long day's labor. Upon seeing the Buddha, the farmer sighed and said, "Venerable Gautama, I must plough, sow, and harvest to eat. But you do nothing, just go begging for alms, and yet people still give you food. How is this fair?" The Buddha looked at him calmly and replied in a steady voice, "Householder, I too am a farmer. I too plough, I sow, and I reap." The farmer was surprised. "But I have never seen you with a plough. Where do you plough? Where do you sow?" The Buddha smiled gently. "I plough in the field of faith. I sow the seeds of mindfulness. The refreshing waters of effort nourish them, and I reap the harvest of wisdom and peace. This is my harvest." The farmer fell silent. He realized that the toil of ploughing earthly fields sustains only the body, while the cultivation of the inner field nourishes the spirit, bringing true security and freedom. Overcome with respect, he bowed before the Buddha, feeling as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. "Dear listener, we are all farmers of a kind. Some sow in the fields of wealth, others in the fields of status. However, the Buddha teaches that if we learn to sow seeds of peace in our own hearts, nurtured by mindfulness and compassion, we will reap a harvest that can never be lost." Story 5. Kisah Gotami and the Mustard Seed. Long ago in the city of Savatthi, there lived a young woman named Kisah Gotami. She came from a poor family and was frail in body, so people called her Kisah, meaning thin and weak. Later, she married into a wealthy household and gave birth to a son. That child became her greatest joy, her deepest hope. But misfortune struck. The boy fell gravely ill and soon passed away. Kisah Gotami was devastated. She could not accept this truth. Day and night, she clutched her child's body in her arms, wandering through the streets, pleading with everyone she met. "Please, help me. Give me medicine, my son can live again." The townspeople pitied her, but no one could help. Some finally said to her, "The only one who can help you now is the Buddha, the fully enlightened one, residing at Jetavana Monastery." Hearing this, Kisah Gotami hurried to Jetavana, laid her child's body before the Buddha, and begged, "Blessed One, please give me medicine to bring my son back to life." The Buddha looked at her with deep compassion. He knew she was not yet ready to understand the truth of impermanence. So he said gently, "Very well, Kisah Gotami, please bring me a mustard seed. But there is one condition. The mustard seed must come from a household that has never known death." Hope flooded her heart. She clutched her son and went from door to door, asking for a mustard seed. At the first house, they were willing to give her the seed, but when she asked if death had ever visited their home, they replied, "Our parents passed away here." She moved on. At the second house, then the third, and so on, everyone was willing to give her a seed. But in every house, someone had died. Kisah Gotami searched the whole city, but not one household had been untouched by death. Finally, she sank by the roadside, still holding her son's body, and she realized, "Alas, this sorrow is not mine alone. Death is the destiny of all beings. There is no family untouched by separation." In that moment, she laid her child's body down. Looking up at the evening sky, her heart opened. She had seen the truth of impermanence. She returned to the Buddha and bowed before him. The Buddha taught, "Sabe sata maranti, all beings must die. None can escape the law of impermanence." Hearing this, Kisah Gotami truly understood. She asked to join the monastic order. With steadfast practice, before long, she attained the state of an arahant, free and liberated. In the Therigatha, verses of the elder nuns, she expressed, "Craving is cut away, all desires extinguished. Fear is no more. I have gone beyond birth and death." Meaning, the story of Kisah Gotami illustrates the Buddha's first noble truth that suffering is an inescapable reality. Each of us must face birth, aging, illness, and death, When we understand that loss is not ours alone, but the universal law of existence, we loosen our grasping and begin to find true peace. Story 6. The Snake and the Blade of Grass. One afternoon, as the golden light of sunset bathed the forest by the river, a group of young bhikkhus sat around the Buddha. They had just returned from alms round, their hearts still restless with questions about the practice of the holy life. One monk spoke up, "Blessed One, sometimes we feel we have studied much, memorized much, and yet our minds remain unsettled. Why is this so?" The Buddha looked at them, his gaze kind yet clear, like a still, unshaken lake. He began to tell a story. Imagine a man crossing a field. He sees a poisonous snake. Wanting to catch it, he rushes forward, but instead of using a stick or a noose to hold it behind the head, he seizes the tail. The snake immediately coils back and strikes, injecting venom into his hand. The man is gravely harmed because he grasped it the wrong way. The monks sat silently, listening intently. The Buddha continued, "So it is with the Dhamma. If you grasp it wrongly, if you use it wrongly, the very teachings can harm you. But if you grasp it rightly, apply it rightly, then the Dhamma becomes a source of liberation, like a medicine that cures the snake's poison." He paused for a moment, then pointed to a clump of grass by the path. "Remember this also, the Dhamma is like a blade of grass. If a foolish person seizes it carelessly, the edge may cut his hand. But if a skillful person handles it properly, that same grass becomes rope, or medicine, or something useful. In the same way, if you study the Dhamma only to argue, to boast, then the Dhamma becomes a knife cutting into your own hand. But if you practice it to cultivate release from greed, anger, and delusion, then the Dhamma is the path of freedom." These words fell like cool water upon the monks' hearts. They realized the issue was not how much they had learned, but the attitude with which they received and applied the teaching. If one treats the Dhamma as possession to be proud of, it becomes another chain. If one uses the Dhamma for debate and contention, it turns into a weapon. But if one allows the Dhamma to soak into life, calming the mind, it becomes the antidote and the guiding lamp. The story of the snake and the blade of grass was not only for monks of old, but for us today. In our modern lives, how often do we grab the snake by the tail without realizing it? When we learn something wise but use it to criticize others instead of correcting ourselves. When we hear a teaching but store it only for debate, not for contemplation. When we gain a little knowledge but let pride grow, forgetting that true wisdom walks hand in hand with humility. That is when we are bitten by the snake, harmed by the very Dhamma, because we grasped it wrongly. But if we are humble, using the Dhamma to illuminate our own hearts, to soften greed, anger, and ignorance, then the Dhamma becomes priceless rope to bind a raft, medicine to heal, or a path to peace. Hearing this, the young monks bowed their heads. They recognized how often they themselves had grasped wrongly, turning the Dhamma into fuel for ego. Silently, each vowed to henceforth study the teachings with the heart of a beggar open, listening, receiving each drop like rain, soaking dry earth. The Buddha looked at them, a gentle smile upon his lips. He knew a seed of awakening had been sown. Dear listener, have you ever learned something that should have made you lighter, but instead left you more burdened? Perhaps at that time, you too were grasping the snake's tail. Remember, the Dhamma is not for accumulating knowledge, but for releasing suffering. As the Buddha taught in the Alagaddupama Sutta, the simile of the snake, Majjhima Nikaya 22, "My Dhamma is like a raft. A wise person uses it to cross the river, then lets it go, not carrying it upon the shoulders." So tonight, reflect. How are you holding the Dhamma by the tail of the snake or by the skillful stick? And in the stillness of this night, If you let go of the urge to debate, to prove, to compete, you may feel a lightness blooming in your heart, like a soft blade of grass, not cutting the hand, but soothing the soul. Story 7. The Corpse Bearer. One fresh morning, when dew still clung to the tips of grass, the Buddha and his bhikkhus walked past a charnel ground outside the city of Rajagaha. That place was where the poor or the unclaimed dead were left, bodies abandoned, surrendered to time and nature. As the Sangha passed, a scene unfolded. Several workers were carrying a corpse. It was a man who had just died, his body bloated and discolored. They laid him down on the ground, then departed in silence. The Buddha stopped. His gaze rested calmly on the corpse. Then he turned to the monks and said, "Look, bhikkhus, this body is also like that. One day, each of you too will lie down just so. None can escape death. Arriven, rementer the leffen one two motting into. Another signed, into more conten. Arriven result." The monks grew silent, their hearts sinking. Each one suddenly saw it clearly. Their own bodies, strong and alive now, would also one day become useless and cold. The Buddha continued, his voice slow and steady, like a bell ringing in the dawn. There are those who carry the bodies of others to the graveyard, yet forget to carry their own corpse along. They see others die, but forget that they too will die. This is ignorance. The wise are different. When they see others die, they contemplate, "This is not only them, this is also me. This is the destiny awaiting me as well." Reflecting in this way, they release pride, they release attachment, they release anger because they know everything must dissolve. The Buddha often instructed the monks to practice maranasati, the mindfulness of death, by going into cemeteries and observing corpses at different stages of decay. Some freshly dead, still intact, some bloated, oozing fluids, some being eaten by birds and beasts, some reduced to bare bones bleaching in the sun, and finally, ashes mingled with dust. The Buddha taught, "Bhikkhus, reflect thus. This body too is of such nature, it cannot escape that fate. By such contemplation, attachment to the body is diminished, and wisdom arises." The story of the corpse bearer is a powerful reminder. We often witness others passing, yet think, "Death is far from me." We chase after wealth, quarrels, hatreds, loves, as though we were immortal. But in truth, death is as near as the next breath. Should one breath go out and not return, death has arrived. It is because we forget death that we live carelessly, wasting time on trifles, until one day, when the body is laid down, regret floods in too late. Dear listener, tonight you may imagine, "If I had only one day left to live, what would I do?" Would you still harbor anger, complaints, rivalries, or would you choose to love, to forgive, to live deeply in each breath? The Buddha once taught in the Dhammapada, verses 286, 287, "Tomorrow is not assured for anyone." The wise live mindful in the present. Like a skillful carpenter, they carve each moment into a masterpiece. Hearing this, the monks remained silent. Some closed their eyes, and in their minds appeared an image of themselves lying in that very charnel ground. Not to feel fear, but to awaken to see how precious time truly is. So tonight, as you breathe in, know that this breath is a gift. As you breathe out, release your worries and resentments, for none of us knows which breath will be our last. Story 8. Sona's lute strings, just enough, the secret of peace. Let your body grow heavy against the bed. Adjust the pillow beneath your head. Release your shoulders. Breathe in softly and breathe out slowly. Tonight, you and I will enter an ancient story from the time of the Buddha. A story about a young monk named Sona, who once strove with all his might, but came close to giving up. In that critical moment, he discovered the secret of peace, just enough. Sona was born into a wealthy family. When he ordained, he carried a firm resolve, believing with unshakable faith that with extreme effort, enlightenment would quickly come. So he practiced asceticism with relentless zeal. He walked in meditation until the soles of his feet bled, the skin cracked open, every step piercing with pain, yet he did not stop. But the results were not what he hoped. Despite his exhausting effort, his mind was still restless. Wisdom had not yet blossomed. One evening, overwhelmed by fatigue, Sona sat and thought, "Perhaps this path is not for me. Perhaps I should give up, return to lay life, enjoy my wealth, and do good deeds in another way." This thought weighed on him like a stone sinking into deep water. At that very moment, the Buddha knew. He appeared before Sona, gentle and radiant like the full moon, and asked, "Sona, when you were a layman, did you play the lute?" "Yes, Blessed One, I did." The Buddha smiled softly. "And when the strings were too tight, how did it sound?" Sona replied, "Harsh, discordant, and the string would break. And when the strings were too loose, then the sound was dull, lifeless. But when the strings were tuned just right, not too tight, not too loose, then the sound was pure, sweet, harmonious." The Buddha nodded, his voice flowing like water over stone. "So it is with practice, Sona. Too much striving leads to restlessness and agitation. Too little effort leads to laziness and sinking. Only when balanced just enough does the mind become calm, concentration arises, and wisdom blossoms. This is the middle way." Hearing this, it was as if a cool breeze passed through him. Sona suddenly understood he had been tightening his strings too much, and so the music of his life could not play. From that day, he changed his practice, no longer exhausting himself in harsh austerity, nor falling into carelessness. He walked mindfully, meditated with balance, holding his effort at just enough. And before long, he attained the state of an arahant, fully liberated. Dear listener, this story is for us too. In modern life, are we not often like Sona? Sometimes too tight, constantly striving, pushing ourselves under pressure to succeed, to excel, to be perfect, until exhaustion consumes us. Other times too, losing motivation, drifting in apathy, letting life carry us without direction until emptiness and sloth take over. Both extremes lead us away from peace. The Buddha's teaching and Sona's realization is that peace lies in just enough. Not too tight, not too loose. Like a lute string tuned to harmony, like a river flowing at the right pace, life moves gently, carrying us in balance. So tonight, as you rest here, practice tuning your own strings. Breathe in, softly, as if pouring water into a crystal glass. Breathe out, gently, as if placing that glass on the table without a sound. Breathe in, feeling your body nourished. Breathe out, releasing the pressure to be anyone other than yourself. Breathe in, aware that you are alive. Breathe out, smiling, because this very moment is enough. Let your heart settle with this rhythm of breath. Tonight, you don't need to achieve anything. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to strain. Just enough. As the Buddha taught, the middle way is not an abstract theory. It is how you tune your own strings. Not stretched until they snap, not slack until they fall silent, but tuned just right to resonate with peace. Now, let sleep come to you like a gentle melody. Not forced, not hurried, and not neglected. Simply breathe and smile. That is enough. Story 9. The Stone Thrower, the Power of Intention. Close your eyes. Feel your body sinking into the bed. Breathe in gently. Breathe out slowly. Release your shoulders, soften your forehead, and let your heart be still, like a morning lake at dawn. Tonight, let us enter a story from the Anguttara Nikaya, the numerical discourses of the Buddha. A story of a stone thrower, and the lesson that the direction of our mind determines the destiny of our life. One day, a group of young bhikkhus came to the Buddha with a concern in their hearts. They asked, "Blessed One, why is it that though we practice the same, some find peace while others suffer? Why is it that though following the same teaching, some gain liberation while others still wander in sorrow?" The Buddha sat silently for a moment, then replied with a gentle story. Bhikkhus, once there was a skilled stone thrower. He had a sturdy sling and a round, firm stone in his hand. If he aimed the stone toward soft ground, it would land and sink gently, resting quietly in the earth. But if he hurled the stone at a large rock, it would strike and rebound, flying back with force. So it is with the mind. The direction you aim it determines the result. If aimed toward greed, anger, and delusion, it is like striking rock, suffering rebounds upon you. But if aimed toward compassion, mindfulness, and wisdom, it is like casting the stone into soft earth. Peace receives it, karma is softened, and life becomes gentle. Hearing this, the monks placed their palms together, their hearts lit as though a lamp had been kindled within. Dear listener, this story teaches us, every action, every word, every thought is a stone we cast into life. They do not disappear, they land, they remain, and they shape the path beneath our feet. If we throw stones of anger, they rebound and strike us first. If we throw stones of love, they rest gently, becoming soft ground for others and for ourselves to walk upon. So tonight, reflect. What stones did you cast today? Was it a harsh word that left someone hurt? A selfish thought that weighed on your own heart? Or a smile, a kind word, that lightened another's burden? Now, return to your breath. Breathe in, I see the stone of today in my hand. Breathe out, I choose to place it down gently. Breathe in, I recognize the power of intention. Breathe out, I release a stone of compassion into the world. And so, each breath tonight becomes a gentle stone, placed softly into the earth of peace. Story 10. The Potter, Shaping the Mind as Clay. Let your body loosen completely. Hands, feet, shoulders, all soft, all released. Breathe in, aware that you are alive. Breathe out, aware that you are at ease. Tonight, let us listen to a story from the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle-length discourses. A simple story of a potter and the lesson that training the mind is like shaping clay. One morning, the Buddha and his bhikkhus went on alms round in the city of Rajagaha. Afterward, as they returned, the Buddha rested outside a pottery workshop. The owner, a gentle man who made his living shaping clay, saw the Buddha, paid his respects, and spread a mat for him to sit. The Buddha asked, "Householder, what is your occupation?" The potter replied, "Venerable Gautama, I shape clay and fire pots." The Buddha nodded softly. "And when you work with clay, do you find that when it is too dry, it cracks easily? When too wet, it collapses. But when it is of balanced moisture, it can be shaped into strong vessels?" The potter was surprised. "Yes, Venerable One, exactly so. Only when the clay is balanced can I mold it into jars, bowls, and pots that endure the fire and become useful." The Buddha smiled gently. So too is the human mind. If it is too dry with arrogance, it breaks easily. If it is too wet with desire, it deforms. Only when balanced, tempered with humility and mindfulness, can the mind be shaped into wisdom and compassion. The potter's heart opened. He bowed deeply, and from that day lived with mindfulness, shaping not only clay, but also his own mind. Dear listener, this story teaches that each of us is a potter every day. The clay is our mind. If we let it dry and harden with stubbornness, it shatters. If we let it grow soggy with craving, it collapses. But if we nourish it with mindfulness and contentment, it can be shaped into a vessel of peace. So tonight, imagine in your heart a soft ball of clay. Breathe in, you hold it gently with mindful hands. Breathe out, you shape it into a vessel of compassion. Breathe in. The vessel grows strong and steady. Breathe out, you pour peace into it, for yourself and for others. Like the potter who patiently shapes clay, you too patiently shape your mind, not rushing, not forcing, not despairing. Each day, with gentle effort, you mold a life of kindness and calm. And now, as you lie down, let your mind be like well-moistened clay, pliable, listening, ready to be shaped into a vessel of peace.